Now, France 24's foreign editor Rob Parsons is with me here in the studio to react to this announcement. Rob, analysts were expecting that the war in Ukraine would have some sort of influence on this year's winners. Still, we didn't exactly expect that these would be the winners. What else can you tell us about them?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, it was expected that Ukraine would, and the war in Ukraine would figure in some way. And among those touted as possible winners was President Volodymyr Zelensky from Belarus, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, the leader of the resistance to the regime of President Lukashenko. But that didn't happen. Instead, we got something a little bit off-center. But all people and organizations who are well known in their own right and highly respected, who have been doing a lot of work on the issues of human rights, democracy, rule of law in both Belarus, Russia and Ukraine, it has to be said, because the Center for Civil Liberties is an organization that's been fighting for civil liberties, human rights and democratization in Ukraine for the last 10 years or so. Memorial is an interesting choice because that reflects an ongoing struggle inside Russia.
They were shut down recently.
They were shut down just about a year or so ago. They're still there. They're continuing to fight for the protection of human rights, but also to continue to research into the past, because as was made clear in that speech just now, the whole purpose behind Memorial is the notion that if you close yourself off to the past, you close yourself off to the future as well. That by denying your past, you make possible all kinds of crimes in the future. And Vladimir Putin and his regime have made a point of trying to crack down on Memorial, in large part because of the work that they have done to uncover the crimes that were committed, particularly during the 1930s, during the Stalin era in Russia. Founded in the late 1980s by, among others, Andrei Sakharov, a Nobel Peace Prize winner. It's done immense work in Russia over the last 30 years or so. I remember when I was a correspondent myself in Russia, visiting the Memorial offices on many occasions in connection with the work that they've been doing precisely on Russian history, making sure that people are aware of their own history in order to ensure that the sins of the past are not repeated in the future. Bialiatski is an interesting choice because, as I mentioned earlier on, we've been thinking that it was possibly going to be Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, who's a prominent figure in the opposition to President Lukashenko in Belarus. But it went to him because of the work that he's been doing over the last 10 years, most of the time from prison. He's become a symbol of the fight for civil liberties in Ukraine, in Belarus. And I think, Tikhanovskaya will be among those who will be celebrating the fact that he got that award. Center for Civil Liberties, again, I mentioned them. They've been doing a lot of work in Ukraine and continue to do work now as well, following the Russian invasion in February of this year, looking at the crimes that have been committed in places like Bucha, near to Kiev, by the Russian occupying forces against Ukrainian civilians.
Very strong choices from that committee. Rob, thank you so much for telling us more about this year's Nobel Peace Prize winners. And a little later on, here on France 24, we will be speaking to Berit Reiss-Andersen, the chair of the Norwegian Nobel Committee that awards the Nobel Peace Prize, who we just heard speaking a moment ago. So do join us for that. That will be at 1 p.m. Paris time.